All right, good enough. I'm back. It's magic. I was reading something this week as a reminder, and one of the Indian gurus was being asked about the process of enlightenment, since we're talking about light this morning. And what he said was, even a room that has been dark for 1,000 years, that darkness is instantly dispelled at the introduction of a single candle. So no matter how long you think those areas of your life have been dark, one moment of light is all it takes. I'm done. Now I got things to say. I got to talk about the substantiate thing. See? May is all about communication. And so Betty Lou and her guided wisdom last year wrote down the May topics. And the first Sunday was envision. And the second Sunday was believe. And the third Sunday was substantiate. Now I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy named Napoleon Hill, way a long time ago. Napoleon Hill actually said it this way. He said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Conceive, believe, achieve. Or envision, believe, substantiate. Exactly the same thing. And I'll run through these just a little to kind of get myself up to speed here. So I looked at this conceive, I looked at this envision. In Proverbs it says, one of my favorites by the way, where there is no vision, the people perish. Michael Hyatt, who is somewhat of a business guru, he said, vision and strategy are both important, but there is a priority. Vision always comes first. That was his emphasis, by the way. If you have a clear vision, you will eventually attract the right strategy. If you don't have a clear vision, no strategy will save you. So second Sunday we move on to believing. Now here, this is a bit of a stretch, even for Betty Lou, but she does this, and I like this. You see, you take the word believe, and you make it to be live. Believe is to be live. See, our beliefs are based on the life we have lived, and our beliefs determine the life we will live. So be live. See, our beliefs are based on our experiences. And you can say, well, no, somebody taught me my beliefs. But you still had an experience of that teaching. Everything that you believe is based on your experience. Course in Miracles says, oh, thank you, you got me. Course in Miracles says that the ego is constantly trying to prove itself right. So, here's the deal. We live what we believe because we know that we're right. Welcome to the world. You know, I read that scripture this morning from Hebrews. You know, it's faith that substantiates, gives substance to your beliefs. Faith makes your beliefs real. In our experience, you're going to experience anything you have faith in. So you can have a belief, and if you're sure that that belief is right, you will have that experience. Now, in Matthew in chapter 9 records a little bit of what I call one of Jesus' miracle tours. And, you know, it's one of those where it's just one miracle after another as he travels around. And just, I don't know if they all happen, you know, in the same week, or if it just happened to be that's where they put all of these things together. But he did these things called, to me, miracle tours. And on one of these miracle tours, he was being hounded by these two blind men. I mean, they followed him everywhere. So in Matthew 9, it takes it up from there and says, "And when he had come into the house, the blind men came in to see him. And Jesus said to them, 'Do you believe that I am able to do this?' And they said to him, 'Yes, Lord.' Then he touched their eyes, saying, 'According to your belief, let it be to you.' And their eyes were opened." Mark takes it beyond just being blind. He says all things are possible to those who believe. A little later in that book of Mark, he said, "Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you will have them." Yes. Now I could unitize that just a little bit, make it a little teeny bit more new thought. Whatever things you pray for, believe that you have already received them, and you will recognize they are yours.
Yes. Yes.
All right, that brings us up to this week, Substantiate. I put it off as long as I can put it off. So substantiate is to achieve something, to make it real, okay? To give substance to give body to it, to put it in some kind of form, to have it show up in this world. Now, we have a wonderful unity principle, which has already been quoted about 5 times this morning. The third unity principle, thoughts create. We are creators as God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. Now that's really good, but what I want to tell you is that it takes the 5th unity principle to have it work. In order to substantiate anything, you have to actually do something.
Yes.
So I hate to say it, but just thinking about all these prosperity thoughts isn't enough to have money raining down from the sky. Because that's the way most people look at it. I'll just think good thoughts and it'll all work out. So there's a story in the book of James. Oh, by the way, did I tell you the 5th unity principle? You guys know that, right? Live it. It says through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know. That's what makes it work. So James has a story in here, and the little heading in the Bible that I got this one from says it's about faith and deeds. And he says, "What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, 'Go, I wish you well, keep warm and be well fed,' but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it?" In the same way, faith by itself is not, if not accompanied by actions, is dead. I will show you my faith by what I do. So here's the interesting question of the day. The question is not whether, but the question is what. You can fill in the blanks. See, it's not whether we're creating anything, it's what are we creating? What are we substantiating with our life? And what we make real in our own lives depends on who and what we align with, what we identify with. So we have this wonderful 4th unity principle. I already gave you my punchline. My punchline is that Principle 1 is true. Principles 2, 3, 4, and 5 just remind us how to get there. 4th unity principle is align with God, or align with love. Through prayer and meditation, we align our heart and mind with God. When we align with God, when we align with good, when we align with love, what we do is we substantiate love in the world. Now, recently I was asked, actually by 2 people very directly and very pointedly. I got a couple of emails within the same week, last week, questioning some of the worldly stuff that's going on in our world right now that doesn't look a lot like love. And all of that brought up some interesting questions of my own, because I looked at it and thought, well, you know, that's true. My question number one is, so why do we get caught up in this drama? Why do I get caught up in the things that I get caught up in? And by the way, we're all unique. The things that bug you don't mean a thing to me. The things that bug me, you could care less about. It's a personally designed curriculum, by the way. So my next question is, so what happens when we get caught up in this drama? What happens to us? What happens to the drama? And then, because this was at the heart of both of these queries that I had, is there any value to feeling for somebody or for some circumstance? So I want to read you one of the emails. It goes like this. I know my spiritual beliefs give me some comfort, but those beliefs just seem like magical thinking in the face of grief at the crazy things happening in our world. Have you ever had that thought before? How to soothe the heart that hurts from all of this. Being in the world but not of the world does not take away the pain of being in the world. It seems, I think, that things should not hurt. I'm questioning this belief. I'm not feeling the same confidence in the belief that if there is an upset out there, it is in me. Sometimes what is out there has nothing to do with me. And by the way, the second email was almost a carbon copy of this one. And it's probably almost a carbon copy of what you think from time to time. Because don't you know that's one of the metaphysical bludgeons we beat people to death with? Yeah. You created it. You must have wanted it. Change your mind. It's all you. All right. Well, what I'm going to tell you is it is. In the bigger sense, in the spiritual sense. You know, if we believe this first unity principle, there's only one presence and one power, then it is all me.
Whoa!
Whoa! Down to get you. But welcome to the physical world. So in the physical world, in the egoic sense, in the personality sense, maybe it shows up because it's either something I am working on, in another version, of course, not nearly as extreme as that, or something that I'm judging, because after all, right now in this incarnation, I am a personality. And I'm working on trying to get myself free to remember the truth of who I am. You know, so yeah, I'm not out murdering people, but do I have murderous thoughts? Do I want bad things to happen? Or just a little tweak, a little justice, a little justification? See, my sins are minor compared to those that can't be the same. You know, Jesus said, if you think it, you did it. Because you have that thought, it's exactly the same as the person who actually acted on that thought. Yes. Now, sometimes I actually can't even make that connection. Sometimes it really does appear to have nothing at all to do with me as a personality or anything that I have anywhere else. But what I notice is that I am still invested in the drama surrounding it. You know, drama in this world is a little like adrenaline. A lot of us run on adrenaline. And while that isn't playing out our stuff, I get caught up in the drama of what's playing out. So see, either way I look at it, it's still all me. It's still up to me. It still reflects me in some way. So thank you, Betty Lou, for reminding us. No judgment about that. It just is the way it is. So if it hurts me, then I'm still part of the drama. I'm either an actor on the stage or I am a member of the audience. If you watch it, if you pay attention to it, you are giving it strength and power in your life. Now, if I'm neutral, and that doesn't mean pretend like I don't care, which a lot of times means I don't want to care. I don't care what you do. I mean, I really do care what you do, and I don't want to care what you do. But if I really am neutral, then I can be a healing reminder for all those other parts of me out there in the greater one that I am that are still trying to remember. See, we have a thing that we've taught for years and years and years. Awareness without judgment is healing. Awareness without judgment is healing. When we trust in love, or goodness, or God, or whatever word you want to use, when we trust in the good stuff, then we actually are available to be that healing presence of awareness without judgment, both for ourselves and for our world. See, the only reason I'm going to hurt, I'll feel stuff, by the way, but the only reason it's going to hurt me is because I somehow believe that it's real. I still am fooled by what's going on in the world. There's a thing in neurolinguistics, and actually there's a kind of a trio of techniques, matching and mirroring and pacing. And these techniques are actually designed to help you develop rapport with someone. To actually, rapport is another way of saying, I don't see you as different from me. And I see us so much alike that you feel safe in my presence because you know I'm not judging you. You know I'm not separate from you. That's rapport. Why do we want to develop rapport? Well, to remember our oneness, but they wouldn't have said that in NLP. But the third technique is called pacing. See, if somebody's in a hole, you don't say, wow, I see you're in a deep hole down there. Well, when you climb up, we'll have lunch together. I'm sorry, my arms aren't that long. No, what we need to do is we need to climb down in that hole to just close enough where we can reach the person and move them up a step. And then we climb up a little more, and then we help them move up a step. And that's called pacing. See, I'm not so far away that you can't relate to me, and I'm not so identified that I'm in the hole with you. See, mirroring, by the way, just in case you're not aware. Well, I'll do matching because that comes first anyway. Matching is, see, Betty's sitting there with her left leg crossed over her right leg. And so matching, I would sit across from Betty like this. Look at that pose, like that. But I would actually match her pose, which says to her, I'm the same as you, and if she moves, I'll move. Not so that it's obvious, but she starts to get that I'm having the same response to the physical world that she's having. I must be having the same internal response that she's having. Mirroring, by the way, is kind of the same, but just the opposite. Mirroring, oh, you were the left leg, I mirrored you, that's right. Mirroring is you actually look like the person would see themselves in the mirror. So as she's crossing that leg, I would cross this leg like this, and now I'm mirroring her because it looks like I'm looking at the mirror and seeing her. Now, what's the value of all this? I'm not trying to teach you NLP, but what I'm trying to tell you is the person makes up that if I'm acting the same, I must be feeling the same. And you know what happens over here? If I'm acting the same, I start to understand how that person is really feeling. So matching and mirroring is purely designed to reduce the difference, reduce the judgment, to increase the oneness, the identification. And from there, once she trusts me, we can move a little out of this hole. Now, having said all of that, if she's in this hole, I can look like I'm in the same hole as she is, but do I have to feel as much despair or as much pain as she does? No, that's not necessary. This is all about me understanding. It isn't about me becoming. Because see, that's not the truth of her anyway. What I want is I want to lead us both to a greater level of truth, both to a greater awareness of our oneness. You know, sometimes it's still frustrating because obviously part of us out there in the world across the planet doesn't remember yet. If only that hemisphere would catch up with this one. So, what I want to say is, we can have feelings about that. We can have thoughts about that. But it's a little like, we've all had the experience, you know, you're sitting for so long, I did it to you on a Sunday, but your leg goes to sleep. And you start to move, and it's like it starts to tingle, and actually it starts to hurt sometimes. But you know what? That's not really pain like you want to avoid the pain, like you want your leg to go back to sleep. It's pain that says, oh, I'm waking up. I feel what's going on, and that's a sign of awakening. That's different than identifying and getting stuck in the pain. You know, thoughts create. And the truth is that we manifest our creations instantaneously. And because that's a little much for most of us, we've invented this little mechanism called time. See, what time does, it gives us a chance to get used to what it is we've manifested. And maybe change our mind along the way. So time is purely an illusion. It's a tool that we use to keep us from being overwhelmed with our manifesting thoughts. And what I want to say is all growth, all learning, all healing happens in the in-between. It happens in the space between having the thought and having that fully substantiated, manifested in the world. In there, we've given ourselves an opportunity to clean up our act, to strengthen what we want, to let go of what we don't want, as this begins, apparently, to manifest. But we already know where it's going. We already know what it's going to look like. We've just given ourselves time to manage this. You know, last week, it wasn't last week, it was 2 weeks ago, I said something about, I read that scripture that said basically the world is really designed to draw us away from God, to seduce us into believing that this is all real and the God stuff, the good stuff, the love stuff isn't. It's designed to cause us to get out of integrity with ourselves. So who designs this anyway? Now, I know, you already know the answer, don't you? I did! Why would I design this kind of a thing? See, part of this design is my karma. Now, that isn't saying I'm not responsible. What that's saying is that There are things that I didn't handle so well in the past. I want a do-over. I want a chance to respond differently. I want a chance to act differently in that circumstance. Now, do we do this consciously? Well, not in the way we think of it consciously now, in the body. No. But see, our design is a design by focus. They say that if, in fact, Gandhi was the perfect example of this. And I don't remember the exact phrase, and somebody will, and that's okay. But basically, Gandhi spent his life, every moment that he could think of consciously, saying the name of God, with the sole purpose that at his moment of death, the words on his lips would be the name of God. Because the belief is that if a person dies with the name of God on their lips, they are done. No more reincarnation, no more coming back, straight to heaven, nirvana, wherever it is you want to go. Free pass. And as that person stepped in front of him and pulled the trigger, Gandhi recited a blessing with the name of God. If you die, I'm talking reincarnation. If you don't believe in reincarnation, don't worry about it. If you die with something else on your lips or in your mind, you will come back to re-experience whatever it was that we left incomplete. You understand? This is all, that's all karma is. It's me saying, you know what, I want to clean up. I want to finish it. You know, I didn't have quite enough of that. I want a little more this time. Now, have you noticed that our world is becoming increasingly polarized? I mean, there's a whole lot of difference now between the rich and the poor, between the haves and the have-nots, between, you know, those who know and those who don't know. I mean, there's so little gray area in the middle now. It's almost all or nothing. What I want to say is that's good news. Yeah, see? That's good news because we can no longer hide in the gray area and pretend that everything's okay, thank you very much. We actually have to choose to be in one camp or the other. And what I want to say is it doesn't matter which camp you choose to be in. Whatever your choice is, the experience of that choice will be so magnified compared to what it was before we were so polarized that you will more instantly get the message or the gift of your choice. No more waffling around, guys. You're either in or you're out. Choose sides, play the game. And if you don't like it, choose another side. So the question really comes up, great, so what do we do in a world like this? Of increasing polarization, a world that's so full of violence and so full of judgment and so lacking in self-respect and respect for others, is so dominated by selfishness and the me mentality. How do we respond to all of this? Because we're here in this world on purpose. So I have 3 steps. I like threes, they work. 1, you've heard it before, surround yourself with like-minded people. Come to church on Sunday. Find church every day of the week somewhere. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Who you hang out with is who you become. So thanks for giving me some place to come on Sundays. Number 2, do not believe the seemingly overwhelming evidence of the physical world. I'm sorry, I can't say it any other way. I don't have any hints, any clues. It's just don't believe that that's the truth. And the third thing is come back to our good old unity principles. Remember that there really is only one presence and one power in the universe. It's all love. Sometimes, by the way, it's love having a real tough time expressing itself. But there's love in there somewhere. Number 2, no matter what, second principle, I'm still in number 3. Remember that you're good. Remember that you're loved. Remember who and whose you are, is the way they sometimes say it. Remember what created you and what you were created to be. And the third principle, thoughts create. Because we know that our thoughts create, become more conscious of your thought process. Change your mind more quickly. Let go of wanting or needing to be right. And number 4, align with Spirit, align with love, align with God. It's back to hang out with quality people, okay? And the 5th unity principle, do something. Almost anything, by the way. It doesn't matter what you actually do, but do something in the world that will demonstrate to you and to the world what's really true for you, what's valuable to you, what you believe in. In short, the only way to survive in this polarized reality that we are calling this world is to act like you really are loving the world. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.